Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick here with you as always, and thanks for joining us for episode number 75. So, as promised, this week we have another special treat from Compass Box, and we have the 10-year anniversary of the Spice Treat with Compass Box relatively new Spice Treat Extravaganza. So, what do we got here? Well, we've got a long, storied past for Compass Box of innovation and transparency. For those of you who may have been following their transparency campaign, you may know a little bit about that. So anyway, way back 10 years ago, we're talking, Compass Box originally released their first version of Spice Treat. Now, what Spice Treat did is it changed the way that Scotch whiskey was being made, in the sense that they added some staves. I know, hold your gas back. French staves, I believe, into their oak. I'm not sure if it was French oak or not, but into their barrels they added staves. Now, for people who drink bourbon, American whiskeys, and other sorts of spirits, you'll know that adding staves into barrels is not uncommon. So there's people like Maker's Mark that do it, Jack Daniels has done it with their Sinatra series, the list goes on and on of those who have done it before. What does it do? Well, it adds more wood to whiskey ratio, and so you're imparting more flavors. And a lot of times you can rejuvenate cask that's been used 2 or 3 or more times by adding some staves into it, re-energizing it, and giving it a little bit more flavor to impart to the whiskey upon aging. So, the Scotch Whisky Association got into a little bit of a hissy fit with Compass Box about that, I believe that they were going to take them to court over the matter. Because they were altering the way that traditionally Scotch was made, and they want to stick to these traditions and unoriginal ideas. So Compass Box was not about that. And so even now, as a result of their transparency campaign, you can get a bottle of Compass Box Expressions, and you can go on their website, and it will tell you the different percentages that are in that whiskey. It'll tell you what certain parcels are, but you'll have to email them for that information. So they can't be advertising it because that's against the association's wishes or whatever. Bunch of BS if you ask me. You've got a company that doesn't want to stick to the unoriginal ways of making, whiskey, blended Scotch whiskey, malt whiskey, blending malts together, that sort of thing. Let's say, I could say Johnny Walker, but even they have started to innovate with different aging in different casks and that sort of thing. So, I mean, the world is moving on way past the Scotch Whisky Association's ideas. And I don't know who these people are who are on this association or a part of it, because they're just freaking idiots, if you ask me. Because what John Glazer at Compass Box has been able to do with all these different expressions is really interesting, and more to the point, they're really good whiskeys. They taste fantastic, and the price point rivals that of any other whiskey in the world. So, let's talk about this, because it could take a while. You'll notice at first with this tin that this is just beautifully done. This is artistically done. This isn't some marketing garbage to up the price, but this is just a really lovely tin. And I usually don't go crazy about that because it usually is a marketing thing. But it's got this nice, heavy top to it, which you have to be careful, because as I bought a couple things at the store, and I'll give you a little background on that, what happened when I went to the store to get this. Is taking it out of the little bag at home. If you drop like that with the bottle in it, that can slowly pull out like that, and you'll freak out and either yank this out or catch yourself before you drop it. Hopefully it's on the floor or something where it's not going to fall too far. But another nice thing about it is inside it's got this little, I don't know if that's foam of some sort to hold this into place so it's not rattling around there in the bottle. And also on the inside it's got, you probably can't see that on camera, but it's got the foam inserts as well to hold the base of it. So even if that did drop off, you may still be lucky that you've got about 1.5 inches or 1 inch maybe of foam where it's not going to plummet to the ground and shatter. So that's good. I'll give you the background real quick before I forget about it. I went to the store to get just Spice Tree. So not the original version, but they re-released Spice Tree. And I wanted to get that because I had done Peat Monster last time I did a Compass Box whiskey, and so just wanted to continue that trend of their entry, expressions. But, so I grabbed this. I don't know what was going on in my head. I may have been thinking, had whiskey too much on the mind. And so I picked this up and I went to the register, and I don't know why I would have thought that it came in something this, I had like 2 other bottles in my hand. So anyway, they're racking up the damages, and they say it's $120. And I was like, well, that cannot be right. I've been going to the store for years. And so sure enough, I looked at it again. I'm like, Spice Tree. Oh, Extravaganza. Great. And so I had to swallow my pride at that point and figure out whether I wanted to, walk back, tail between my legs and say, oh, I didn't mean to get that one, and go put this back in the glass case where it was before, where all the Compass Box whiskeys are. And get the other one that I intended to. But I said, no, this will be an interesting one to get, and I'm never going to find this anywhere else nearby because it's really not that easy to find. So, moving on from that, this is a limited release. They also released, around the same time, I think, their 3-year-old whiskey, part of this whole Enlightenment campaign, which is really cool. The 3-year-old meaning that you have to state the age of the youngest whiskey in the bottle. So they have much, much, much older whiskeys in that bottle, but the minimum age is 3 that's in there, so they have to say that. So it's just they're being cheeky as they always are, and it's always why I love them. They're always entertaining, at least, with all the crap and criticism and all the stress that they must get from the SWA. It's nice that they've got a sense of humor in it all. So, the 10-year anniversary, the Extravaganza, there is, let's see, box, there was only 12,240 bottles, and it was bottled in August of 2014. So, let's get into the whiskey itself, because that's what you're here to see. So, we'll pour a little bit, just let it air out a little bit. And so this is bottled at 46% ABV. Nice, it's not bottled at the traditional 40%. We got a little, let's get a little rolling down the outside of the bottle there. The Angel's always trying to take more than they're allotted. So anyway, 46% ABV, 92 proof. It's non-chill filtered and natural color. That's a beautiful thing. And how do I know that? Well, not because, well, I could add a drop of water and you would see it get a little misty. I could hold this up to the light and say, wow, that's a beautiful pale, coppery, gold color, yellow hue in there. Or I could look at the bottle and say, oh, natural color and non-chill filtered is on the bottle, as should all whiskeys. I mean, if all whiskeys should be natural color and non-chill filtered, but especially if they have gone through those processes, it should be on the bottle, because we are all, at least all the people I know, are looking for that type of thing. They want their whiskey as natural as possible. So I do got my water with me that I will be adding a little bit to after I take the initial nose and taste. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what's in this bottle, because it is a blended malt Scotch whiskey. So I had to write this down because there's 6 different type of parcels, if you will, that are in this whiskey. So the first, in 32.6%, is malt whiskey from Glenord. It's aged in first fill sherry butts. We have 17.2% from Ben Rhines. Ben Rhines, I'm going to butcher some of these names, sorry. But also in first fill sherry butts. And then you have 2.6, small amount, from Altabane, which supplies a lot of their whiskey to Chivas, and that is aged in refill American oak barrels. And then you get on to some of the more interesting things that they do with casks at Compass Box. So the first part is 27.7%, and that's a Highland malt blend, and it's aged in lightly to medium toasted hybrid casks. So these hybrid casks end up making, well, first of all, the Highland malt blend is 60% Clynelish, 20% Dalwhinnie, and 20% Tannenich. Probably butchering that one. But so what Compass Box does is they vat these all together, and then it goes into these hybrid casks for about 4.5 additional years of aging. And so what they do is they replace the heads of the barrel, which are right here and here, with some, I believe it's new French oak. So again, they're reinvigorating those casks. They can get a little bit more bang for their buck out of the casks that they use to age their whiskeys in. And so they do these for the following 2 blends. The 4.3 is a Highland malt blend as well, that same 60-20-20 that I talked about. And let's see, those are in refill hybrid casks. And 15.6, the last parcel that's in this whiskey, is aged in heavily toasted hybrid casks. So they got different toasting levels. And so that's that. Now let's get on to the nose. I already talked about the color. This is beautiful. Really interesting nose on this one because it takes you back to the candy store. Really, I'm getting a lot of sweet notes coming off there. Definitely sugar cookie with the little sugar sprinkles on top. Definitely a lot of confectionery notes in there. It's like strawberry frosting, if you will. Definitely some nice barley malt notes in there, some baked bread. Definitely a good punch of sweet sherry notes. And this tardiness to it, which is really nice, like a raspberry scone. That might be a nice thing to pair this with. And you're also getting a little bit of nuttiness to it, a little spicy sense to it. So let's go in for the taste. It's a really deep, complex, well-balanced whiskey, and it takes you on a journey. And the first sense that you get is this honey, sweet, marmalade, really ripe, berried fruits in there. And then it transitions to dark brown sugar, cinnamon, vanilla, definitely getting that nuttiness in oak. And that the finish on it lasts so long, so deep, and it's got a lot of similarities to pot still whiskey, sherry aged. So I would say like a redbreast, maybe even redbreast cask strength. I'm getting a lot of notes and similar notes too. just this really nice finish that's carrying in those deep brown sugared notes, vanilla and oak. This is really nice, and I'm going to pour a little bit more, which I usually don't do. I usually try to be slightly conservative about it, but this is damn good. Don't need to waste any of it. And so we're going to add in a little bit of water, but not too much, because that proof's got it at such a nice point there where you get enough. You don't get a lot of the alcohol burn that you get in some whiskeys of a higher ABV. And there's definitely a lot higher ABV whiskeys out there, obviously. But just give that a little whirl there. And so you probably can't pick it up on camera, but it does get a little bit misty in the glass, which is a good indicator that there's no chill filtration going on in the glass. Now, obviously, like I said before, I said a lot, is you want to give it time anytime you add water and that sort of thing, because the effects usually aren't instantaneous. Even if you were to sit there and shake the glass, which probably isn't a great idea, but just to let things, it's almost like you're vatting your own malt or your own whiskey at that point. But just let it sit, give it some time, let the flavors develop and that sort of thing. The water's definitely knocking down some of those initial sweet candy shop notes. I'm not getting a lot of the sugar cookie, and instead it's going more into those really ripe berry notes. Still got some of the oak and the wood. And a definite earthy sense to it. Looks like ginger root. And you can almost nose like the bitterness that horseradish has, not the initial like bang your head back into the wall, but sort of the bitter complexities of that. And the same with the taste. So getting these really rich berries, blueberries, raspberries, definitely more of that ginger on the end. The finish now is a little bit more bitter. It's still deep and it's still a long-lasting finish, but it's something that's more earthy and more ground nutmeg, cinnamon quality to it. But almost the texture, if you're going to take the cinnamon challenge, which you definitely don't want to take that challenge, but it's got the sense that you've got a lot of spices in there that's, it sucks up all the moisture pretty quickly. So it's more of a drier finish. If you think of a similar, like a wine or something like that, which leaves with like a really dry finish, something like that is similar here. That is delicious. If you can find this, definitely grab 2 bottles. One to enjoy now, and one to put away for later. There's, some bad times coming or something like that. This will definitely be something to cheer you up in the future. Just it's really wide gamut of flavors going on in there. From the sweet confectionery, sweet shop notes that we got initially before we added water, to the bakery, maltiness going on, and then the really ripe, dark fruits and the berries, all the way to the finish with this nuttiness, the oak, and the finish that's really deep and dry and textural, and it's really, really nice. So let's go into a score because I could taste this all day, and I'm sure things would change. But so for episode number 75, going to give this a 98 out of 100. It's that good, I promise. So, there's another one for the books. Next week, we're going to be getting into, well, I won't say just yet because I'm not too sure myself. We've got a few things lined up, but let's see where next week takes us. And so, until then, if you're going to drink responsibly, as always, and we'll see you next time.